Former Ring of Honor and TNA wrestling star Jimmy Rave passed away last Sunday, 4 days after his 39th birthday, which is very sobering because he and I were the same age, and that is way too young for anyone to leave this earth. He had gone through hell in recent years. Last November, he announced his retirement from wrestling after 21 years in the ring, after having his left arm amputated above the elbow. Doctors found an infection in his arm, and it was bad enough that they felt he needed to lose the arm. And then in October of this year, he had both of his legs amputated after contracting a MRSA infection in both legs. And they needed, or at least I believe it happened in October, or he publicly announced it in October. Maybe it happened a little bit earlier than that, but he had both legs removed because they had to be amputated right away. And he had tweeted that in June, what happened is he started having trouble walking. And he went to his surgeon, and that's when they discovered the MRSA infection in both legs. That same day, he tweeted a photo of a hospital bill that he got hit with for over $100,000. Over half of which was just for room and board in the hospital. God bless America. And there was a GoFundMe started for him. People raised almost $50,000 before it was shut down a few days ago. I know Mick Foley was doing a lot to help him out. I saw a High Spots virtual signing he did only a few weeks ago. He must have been in their offices signing for a good 4 hours. I remember I left the video open. I went to go eat something. And when I came back later, and it was a while later, I came back and he was still sitting there signing. It was after 9 o'clock at night, and there's Mick, sitting in their offices still signing, all to raise money for Jimmy Rave. He spent several years in Ring of Honor as part of the Embassy, managed by Prince Nana. And I said on Twitter, the very first ROH show that I ever attended in 2006, I will never forget Jimmy Rave's comical reaction to being pelted with toilet paper, which was the gimmick with him at the time. Fans would throw toilet paper at him, he would get all angry, and he would grab it and he would throw it right back at them. And one of the rolls that night hit the chandelier that was hanging above the ring. This was their final show in the ballroom at the New Yorker Hotel. The New Yorker Hotel, for those who don't know, is literally right around the corner from the Manhattan Center. So they moved from the New Yorker Hotel to the Manhattan Center. They didn't have to go very far. When they stopped running the hotel and they started running the Manhattan Center, and you would have the line sometimes for the Manhattan Center wrapping around the block right to the entrance of the hotel. That's how close by they were. So that was their last night in that building. Now, it probably would have been their last night regardless after they damaged that chandelier and they had glass falling from the ceiling. But I mean, he was part of those early ROH years that I remember very fondly. And then he spent a few years working for TNA. And he was tagging with Lance Archer, or Lance Hoyt, as he was going by at the time, which I think is his real name. And they were the Rock and Rave infection. But he never went higher than that. That was pretty much his ceiling in pro wrestling. He did end up back in Ring of Honor later on, but he struggled a lot with drug issues and was very open about those issues. When he came back to Ring of Honor in 2009, he wasn't there very long. Maybe a few months before they got rid of him. And by his own admission, he was a complete and total drug addict by that point. And he didn't blame them for getting rid of him. And I think he has claimed in the past that his drug addiction started with a broken jaw that he suffered in his during his first Ring of Honor run. He got his jaw... What happened is he got his jaw partially cracked in 2007 in a match against Samoa Joe. He kept wrestling because it was partially cracked, so maybe he didn't realize the extent of the damage, but he kept wrestling because that was the mentality back then. You don't work, you don't get paid. And what ended up happening then is he took a lariat in a match with Nigel McGuinness, and he broke it all the way from his wisdom tooth on down. And he had to get his jaw wired shut for about a month. That's where his problems began. And Bill Behrens, who got his, Jimmy Rave got his start thanks to Bill Behrens. Bill Behrens started him in NWA Wildside many years ago. And Bill Behrens now works as an agent But he issued a statement on Monday announcing Jimmy's death. It was written with the help of Jimmy's daughter, Kayla, and I'll read that for you now. James Michael Guffey has died at the age of 39. James was best known as professional wrestler Jimmy Rave. His career, which started in 1999, continued for over 2 decades. He was a 2-time NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion. He appeared in TNA Wrestling, where he teamed with Lance Hoyt as the Rock and Rave Infection. In Ring of Honor, he feuded with AJ Styles and was the crown jewel of the faction, the Embassy, and last appeared in 2013 as a member of Scum. He toured Japan with Dragon Gate and New Japan Pro Wrestling, where in 2008 he competed in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. In 2005, he appeared on WWE's Sunday Night Heat. And he's appeared in numerous independent promotions over the years. He also served as booker for several years in Rampage Pro Wrestling. Outside of wrestling, he held the position of director of the Bartow County, Georgia Peer Support, Wellness, and Respite Center for several years. He had been struggling with drug addiction for many years. His struggles resulted in the amputation of his arm and later on both of his legs. And he is survived by his ex-wife Felicia, daughter Kayla, and son James II, as well as his parents, Jim and Tony. At the time of his death, he was living in the Philadelphia area with Gabby Gilbert. Rest in peace, James Michael Guffey, December 8th, 1982 to December 12, 2021. A very sad story. And my condolences to his friends and his colleagues in the wrestling business.